Okay, so regardless of what kind of thing you're writing, the following steps to writing a thesis statement will apply in one way or another to every thesis statement that you craft. These steps also sort of align with the writing process in general, so bear with me through this slightly longer video because this is information that you'll use time and time again. Also, a few of you have asked about how to do organized writing or how to have a logical flow in your writing, and these steps will definitely help you do that. So when it comes to writing a thesis statement, the first thing to keep in mind is that it's essential to understand the prompt. I can't emphasize enough how vital this important first step is. You could write a perfectly brilliant paper, but if it's on the wrong topic or it's in the wrong genre, it's the wrong kind of writing, all of your hard work could be for nothing. So closely read your writing prompt and your syllabus for any specific details or any particular sources that you're asked to use in your writing. You'll also want to fully understand what kind of question you're being asked. This might be in the subtext, kind of between the lines of your syllabus. So you'll want to know what kind of genre your professor is asking you to write in. Is this research writing? Is it exegetical work? Is it an autobiographical reflective paper? The structure and content of a thesis statement will vary depending on the kind of writing, the kind of assignment that you're being asked to do. Just like a comedy movie is going to be different from a drama film, even though they might actually be about the same thing. So once you've got all those ducks in a row, you're ready to move on to your next step. And that is coming up with a hypothesis. Determine a hypothetical thesis statement. What is your initial response to the prompt? You might actually already have a thesis statement about the topic in the prompt. So check your notes from the class, look at the annotations in the assigned reading that you've been doing. Sometimes those unfiltered thoughts actually turn into a really strong argument, especially if you already have strong opinions or feelings about the topic at hand. So what you'll want to do is gather those notes and turn them into a hypothetical thesis statement. So remember that a thesis is a complete sentence that explains an argument about a narrow, concrete topic in a concise way. So this hypothetical thesis statement doesn't have to be perfect, but it should kind of look like a thesis. And that can take you into the next step, the research step. So here you collect and organize research. What does the literature have to say about your hypothetical thesis statement and everything that relates to your topic? So this is the fun part. This is where you get to jump in and gather everything that you can find that's relatable to your thesis statement. Start with the required reading in the course and branch out from there. Keep in mind that you can also contact the research librarians here at Hubbard Library and that they can help you find the most relevant, most recent research for your hypothesis. So during and after the research process, you'll be refining that hypothetical thesis statement. What does the research and your gut suggest about that hypothesis? If you didn't find any reliable sources that support or help demonstrate your argument, that could be a sign during the research process that you need to redirect your thesis. Maybe your hypothesis was wrong. And that's okay, that's fine. It just means that you need to refine that statement to come up with something that you can actually demonstrate. On the flip side, if everything that you found in your research says the exact same thing as your thesis statement, that's a sign that you might have a hard time coming up with something new to say, something to contribute to the conversation. And that's another sign that you might need to sort of nuance the language in your hypothesis so that you come up with something original. Once you've sort of refined that hypothetical thesis statement and you're a little bit closer to an actual thesis, an actual argument, you want to try that thesis a few different ways. Try to write several different versions of the same sentence. Which one is the strongest and the clearest? Consider rephrasing the research question in your thesis statement to help you immediately and directly as possible address that research question. Or you could use language from your professor's prompt to help get you started. So after that, outline the structure of your paper based on the structure and content of your thesis statement. And we'll be talking more about outlining next week, but for now, start to determine which main points you will need in order to support that thesis that you've come up with. Keep in mind that you don't need to, and you actually shouldn't, keep absolutely all of the research that you found about your hypothesis. Only include the stuff that's absolutely necessary for making your argument. If you've got an awesome source or a really convincing point to make, but it's not immediately related to your thesis statement, set it to the side for another project. Remember that that's the whole point of a thesis statement, is it's that narrow, focused idea to help keep you and your reader on track. So once you've got your outline, it's just more and more refining from here. During and after you've finished writing, review the language of your thesis statement to make sure that it aligns with the language that you've actually used in your argument. If you reach the end of your writing process and you've filled in your entire outline, only to find that you've used a synonym for one of the words in your thesis statement, just nuance the language of that thesis to match the rest of your paper. Since that thesis statement is supposed to be a kernel of your entire paper's worth of content, consistency in your language will be really important in that way.